Hi, welcome to 3sharp.net. Today in this session we are going to talk about three very important delegates we have heard about. It's action delegate, predicate delegate and func delegates. So it's action, func and predicate. Okay. So before going into this action, func and predicate, we just need, I mean, before going into all those different kind of delegates, where are we going to use it? Where I have used a lot whenever I'm going to use link queue operations, or whenever I'm going to use, you know, whenever I was creating MVVM based applications, or whenever I was going to call some method synchronously or asynchronously. So anywhere, if you are going to call a dispatcher method, so anywhere, like most of the places, we are going to use any of these two delegates. Okay, that is action, func, or predicate. Okay, so before going into the details, what are action delegate, func delegate and predicate delegate, we need to understand what is a delegate, by the way. Okay, so what is a delegate? What what is the specialty in a delegate, why it is being used for? Okay, so our question is, what's first we need to understand a little bit of delegate. If you know what a delegate is, then free to skip ahead, but if you don't know, please take a moment to have a look. So what a delegate is actually, see, in .NET, whenever we want to store a data, if it is int, I mean if it is a number, either we are going to store it in an int or we are going to store it in long. If it is a string, okay, then we are going to use the string for that. If you want to see, for everything we have a type. Okay, we want to store something, then we need to create a particular type, then we assign that to it. So if we need to create, I mean if it's this is int, then we are going to assign a value of int here. So if it is string, then we are going to assign a string here. But if I want to assign a method, I want to create an instance of a method. See, I'm not asking about invoking that method. I'm saying here I want to store a method. What is the type in .NET that can store a method? Okay, so that is where a delegate comes into the picture. Okay, so if you want to store a reference of a method, then we are going to use delegate. How? Here, so there is static delegate. Okay, so this is the type delegate. Okay, so here right now I'll just give a return type string. Okay, then I'm going to say my delegate names. So this is the variable name actually. Okay, so the variable name is my delegate. Okay, and it will take a input parameter of type int. Okay, so it might be confusing whenever, like when we declare a normal variable like string or integer, we just set the type like this and the type name, right? No, sorry, the variable name, the type and the variable name. But here we are declaring a lot of things. Delegate static is, by the way, because we are going to use this inside the main method, that is a static, so that's why we have declared it as static. Apart from that, let's start from here. Delegate string, my delegate int, as well, so many things. Because, do you understand, in a delegate we are actually going to store a method. So what the method normally have, method does have a return type, right? So we have say the return type as string. Method can have parameters, so I'm saying okay, the parameter type is int here. All right, so whenever we're declaring a delegate, just keep in mind this is a syntax. Whenever you're declaring a delegate, then the return type of the method, then the delegate name, and if it has any kind of parameters, that's what you need to declare. Okay, so this is my delegate, which will accept any kind of method that has a return type of string and which is accepting a parameter type int. So let's now go ahead and declare a method my okay, my delegate date method, and I say here int age, and it should return it. Return type should be string, so I will just say return age dot to string. Okay, alright, so my delegate is ready, my method is ready. So let's go ahead and start using my delegate. So the name of my delegate here is my delegate. Okay, yes, my delegate. So this is the type of my delegate, so I'm going to create an instance of it. So how I'm going to do that, let's say my test delegate 1 equal to, okay, here I'm just going to pass this, and see what I'm doing now. I'm assigning the method to delegate. Okay, I'm storing the method reference now. In .NET, if you want to store the method reference, then you need to use a delegate. So this is it. Okay, and see, it's giving no errors right now, but the moment if I change, let's say, to this one, okay, see, this is going to be a problem because there is signature mismatch. So that's why, because we have declared our delegate whose return type is a string, and who is taking a parameter as int, so that's why it is happening. So whenever I'm going to invoke my delegates, what I'm going to say is I'm going to pass a parameter. So to see this in action, well, I'm going to just put everything inside a console.writeLine. Okay, and let's run it. Before that, I will just give a console.readline. Okay, it looks like I have some build errors, and okay, right. So see, we're not calling the method directly anywhere, but we are using this delegate here to, I mean, this delegate holds the reference of actual methods. So using the reference, we are directly invoking a method. So this is what, just briefing about delegates. Delegates hold the method references. So okay, right now we have a basic idea what is a delegate. So what is this three kind of delegates? What is func delegate? Okay, what is a predicate delegate, and what is an action delegate? So let's go ahead and start with action delegate. Okay, so what's action delegate? Okay, so go and see in the definition itself. Let's go. See here, action delegate is nothing but which returns. Action delegate is a kind of delegate which returns nothing. I mean, it's void, and it is, I mean, it can do any kind of action. So I mean, it's not that complicated, as we have seen right now. You know, right now we have seen an action delegate. We have seen a delegate. We have created a delegate which was returning. If we'll let me undo. Right now, what we have done, we have let me just uncomment it. Okay, what we have done here, we have created a delegate which was uh, you know which was returning a string, and which was taking input as an integer. So similarly, .NET itself has created delegate called action. Okay, if we let's go to, so if you can relate what we have done here, we have created the delegate keyword is here, the delegate keyword is here, the return type is string here, the return type is void here, and the delegate name is my delegate, and here the delegate name is action. So here it is, this is called action delegate, which is returning void. Okay, so just like as we create delegates, .NET has already given us a delegate name action, so we don't need to create our own delegates anywhere, we can directly reuse it. Okay, like if we'll see again, if we'll go to the one step ahead, then we can see, action delegate can also take parameters. Okay, in input t1, input t2, input t3, it can take uh, any number of parameters. I think the maximum is it can take up to 16 parameters as input. And let's go ahead and see its definition. So you have to define your type, what exactly you want to pass, uh, uh, you know uh, input to this. If you want int, just say let's int, and if you will go ahead, see what is happening here. And now the moment we declared action int, we say action int, it automatically comes here, and you see there is a delegate whose return type is void, and the delegate name is action, which is taking a parameter as the input parameter is integer. Okay, so this is a action delegate. Action delegate does not accept any kind of inputs. Sorry, it accepts inputs but doesn't return anything. It can take up to 16 parameters, but it doesn't have a return type. Okay, so here what is, whenever we are talking about action delegate, okay, action delegate may take a may take not any parameters but does not return any value. We are going to see all these things in action, but before that we just need to understand what a action delegate is. Action delegate is a .NET defined delegate which does not return anything. Its return type is void, but it can take up to 16 parameters as input parameters. Similarly, let's just go through what is a predicate delegate. It's right. So what is predicate delegate? So come here, let's have a look in the definition. So predicate delegate, okay, is nothing but the return type is always going to be boolean. Whenever you are going to use predicate boolean delegate, the return type is always going to be a boolean, and it can again, okay, take n number of parameters when n equal to, I think here also 6, no, 1. It can, predicate can only take one input parameter, and it is going to always return bool. So here it is. What is a predicate delegate? Predicate will always take an input and always returns bool. Okay, that's cool. So what is a func delegate then? Let's go ahead and see. So func delegate is a delegate which, okay, will have a return type. You have to define that return type here. The return type is int. It will be int return type. Alright, and it may or may not take any parameters. Okay, so func delegate is a delegate which will always return a value. It action, if you can remember, action does not return a value. Action never returns a value, but func always returns a value. it will always return a value. It may or may not take parameters. So if you ask me, so what's the difference here? So let's come here and say func. So what is a func? Func delegate will always return a value but may or may not take any parameters. Okay, so if we'll see what is the difference between action and func. Action never returns a value, func always returns a value. Otherwise action and func are same. Action does not return a value, func always returns a value. Action may or not take a value parameter, function may or may not take parameters. So what is the difference between action, func and predicate? Predicate is very specific. It will always take one value and will always return you the boolean. Alright, so just keep this thing in mind. If you're anytime, you just need to understand, whenever you are in doubt, you can always go ahead to Visual Studio and just go to the definition and I will look. Okay, then you will have all these things clear. You don't need to learn, what do you call it, like you don't need to learn by heart. Okay, you just need to understand it. Whenever you have a doubt, go ahead and check in the Visual Studio. Well, we understand about these delegates. Just right now we will try to let's try to create few how we are going to use it. If I want to create an action delegate, I say action D equal to what I can say here, action D is equal to action, like I say, action will always take a method reference which will have return type as void. So I will say static void. Okay, test action. Okay, and this is pretty much it. I think I can assign it to test action. Let's build it. It says cannot implicitly convert void to system. Okay, my bad. We are not calling the method, actually we are just assigning the method, sorry. So let's build again. Pretty much it, like here if I want to, if right now if I say control.write line hi, let's say sorry, I will say I'll just invoke by action delegate. It says hi. See, but we don't need to do this, like it's pretty lengthy. Action D, then create another method. We can actually cut it short by doing this. Okay, action D equal to, whenever we are saying action delegate, we can say this is one way of doing it. The other one is action D1. What I can say is action does not take any parameters. So this is my method which is not taking any parameters. I say goes to, then I will, this is my method body, and I am going to write here hello lambda. Okay, now I will just say D1 here. See, hello lambda. We don't need to actually go back, create a method and do this. We are using .NET 3.5 onwards. You can always use the anonymous methods. Here it is. So this is again, this is pretty handy, anonymous methods. All right, you need to understand what is anonymous methods, what you need to understand how anonymous method work, because every time you're not going to create a method there and create an instance of it, then call it. It's a lengthy procedure. So this is how we are going to use our uh, anonymous methods now onwards. So let's create again an instance of which one we should create. Let's say Func. Okay, so what we remember what a Func delegate is. Func delegate will always return a value. It may or may not take a parameter. So see, the first thing it is saying, okay, what should be the output. I will say int, but the moment I say a comma, the first one is the input and the second one is the output, so I want it to be string. Okay, so my return type, just remember, my return type here is string, the second parameter is the string, and the input to func is an integer. Okay, so here let's type, I will say f of foo, okay, equals to, so what we say, what is going to be the input here. So I will start my method parenthesis start, and the input is going to be a, you know, what is the input going to be, the input is going to be integer, but we don't need to, whenever we are writing a anonymous method, we don't need to worry about the types, it will take automatically. So I will say x, just remember it is taking one input, so we just give one. I will say goes to, okay, and this is my method body. Where is my method body? This portion inside this curly braces, this is my method body. So it should return a string. I will say here hello func. Okay, cool. So I'm just, if I how I'm going to do that, I will say foo. Okay, let's see that action. Okay, did I do something again? What did I do is, okay, system.func to, what's that, why is that, okay. I just passed the foo instant itself, I need to call it. Okay, I need to pass a parameter to it, and let's say then here why, whenever return x dot to string. See, I have passed 1, it's going coming as 1. If I pass 50, it's going to be 50. Alright, so this is my func delegate. So now let's talk about predicate. Okay, so what's a predicate? So what we remember, what is a predicate delegate? Predicate delegate is very specific. Remember, whenever we are talking about predicate, it is always predicate delegate will always take only one parameter, any type you wish. This time I will say, let's string enough of int, and it's going to always return you a boolean. Okay, so just remember, it's always going to return a boolean, so we are not giving any output parameters, neither it allows you to give by comma or anything. So I will say underscore predicate equal to, again we are going to use our anonymous methods. So what's the input here? String, so only one input. So before that, I just want to say how the behavior differs whenever we are passing two parameters. So let's say here I'm saying int, and I'm saying here the second input is string. Okay, so how this is, see now it says, it is taking two parameters, but we are just passing only one. Okay, so we'll say y string. So while returning it, we'll say return string dot format 0 it's one. Here I'm passing x. One x dot to string comma y string. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the application. It will have errors because we have just passed in. We'll say hello to what did I miss? So I've just formatted this. Now if we'll run it, then see 50 hello to. So what is the point here is, if see I mean if we can always increase the number of parameters, it's just to understand how anonymous methods work. If I increase, okay, then as it is accepting three parameters, here I have to say okay. So same, like whenever we are talking about anonymous method, we have to see how the delegate, whenever we are talking about how to use anonymous methods. So whenever there is a delegate, we have to see how many delegates, I mean how many parameters the delegate is asking, I mean taking as input. So we have to just go ahead and inside the, we have to start the parenthesis, and we have to start the parenthesis, then we just need to pass those many parameters. If the delegate is asking for three parameters, then we are going to start the parenthesis x, y, z or any name. If it is taking two parameters, the parenthesis starts number one parameter, then number two parameter. We don't need to worry about the type of the parameters. Delegate is going to take care of them automatically. Alright, so let's come back to our predicate delegate. So as we understand, predicate will take on always one input and will always return a bool. So if it is one parameter, how we are going to write our anonymous methods? So start the parenthesis, one parameter, goes our lambda, then the method body, semicolon, and it is going to always return a boolean. So let's say true. That's it, we're ready with our predicate. Alright, so this is pretty much it. So if we are going to call our if we are going to use our predicate anywhere, what we have to do, we have to say predicate pass string, and it will just in the return, it is going to give you a nice boolean. Right now it is just true. If you want to process based on the condition, you can always go ahead and do that, but right now just we need to have a look. Okay, we're going to have a look how these three delegates are going to be used in our link queue. We'll just take a very small link queue example. So let's say list of string, okay, my list equal to new list of string. We'll use object initializers here, will say Steve, we will say Jones, we'll say uh, CA, then we'll say Carls, what did I do, Carls, then let me say Charlie, that's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and use some link queue here. So we'll say use anonymous type equal to, okay, so from a name in my list, okay, select name, okay, where we will we'll first put the where, okay, name equal to, like, name equal to Steve, name equal to Steve, select name. This is normal link queue. I mean, we are not going to I mean, actually we don't need this in this demonstration, sorry for that, because we're not, I mean, here we're not going, in this case we're not using anywhere or any of these three delegates. So let's go ahead and uh, demos, I mean use our delegates. So I will say my list dot see where comes into the picture, okay. So what is expecting a func, okay, so it is expecting a func and the input parameter is a string here and it is returning a bool. So how we are going to use it, as we remember, see, it's taking one input, that is string, sorry, it's taking, yes, it's taking one input, that is string, and it is always returning a bool. So the if it is taking one input, so parenthesis start, okay, goes to and we'll say s equals to return s equals to Steve, okay, and close. So if you will see here, let's run. So if you'll see here, let's refresh it. See, actually we have one element at the index 0 because we have only one step. So see how we are writing, using our we have used the predicate here, right? I mean, it different, I mean, it's not exactly predicate, but it's returning, I mean, it's actually predicate, but here func, they have taken func because predicate is a special case of func. So it's okay, we don't need to be confused here. What we learn, like whenever we see, whenever we see func, we have to see what is the first parameter is the input parameter, and the last parameter is the output parameter, and before that all are input parameters, and depending on the number of parameters we need to decide how, after parenthesis, how many input parameters we are going to provide. If it is 1, then we are going to provide 1. If it is 2, then we are going to provide 2. And we don't need to worry about the type of parameters while passing it. All right, so this is we serve where. Okay, uh, this is a classic use of um, func delegate or predicate delegate when with link queue. Similarly, if I want to use action, so what I will say, see here, here again it is taking a a func delegate. So where exactly I will be getting an action is uh, yes, let's say in my list, let's say for each. Okay, see here for each. So for each, what exactly for each is taking action delegate. So action delegate, what is the input type? It's string, and there is no output parameter because out action always returns a void. So action here only takes one input, that is a string. So we just need to remember one input. Action here takes only one input. So parenthesis start x goes to, then the method body ends here, and that's it. So where so the error is cannot assign void to an implicitly typed local variable. Yes, void cannot be assigned. So I mean, this is the uses you have seen. How the action predicate and func delegate are being used, and how we are going to use anonymous methods. Just remember, anonymous methods are wonderful when we're going to talk about delegates. So whenever we are going to look at any kind of delegate, that doesn't need to be action, func, and predicate. For using any kind of delegate, just look at the delegate signature and look at how many parameters it's accepting. That's it, what you'll be needing for your anonymous method. Just remember, if it is your delegate is accepting two parameters, you need to your anonymous method starts with two parameters, and if it accepts three parameters, your anonymous method starts the parenthesis three parameters, end parenthesis, then curly braces starting, and whatever you want to put in your method body. And if your delegate return a value inside the method body, inside the curly braces, you can always pass the value. You can always return the value. So this is about action, func, and predicate delegates, and obviously we have also talked about the anonymous methods. So hope you have enjoyed this video. If you like it, just go ahead and click on the subscribe. It would be really helpful and we'll appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you very much.